What's up YouTube, Capital G here. So Ultra Reality Games had one of their Metro Series events in Ohio over the weekend, and Jeff Jones and the Michigan Goon squad just basically went to the event and tore it up. Exactly 50% of the top 8 was Cosmos, and the deck really did a good job of just like crushing the other decks. I think it's kind of astounding considering the sneak peek for Clash of Rebellions was like, what, last week? So people haven't even had these cards in their hands for like 2 full weeks to play with them. I mean, good, you know, obviously they could have like online testing and whatnot, but I mean, it really does show you that this deck is going to be powerful, and it's something that a lot of players like myself have been saying for quite some time. Now, you have to consider this is a Ultra Reality Games event using the ARG format, so things are going to be a little different than what you're used to seeing at a Konami event. You know, one of the first things I saw was 2 Torrential Tribute, and this really does spotlight what a lot of people were telling me when I was asking the question, will players find the right balance of traps for a deck like Cosmos? And a lot of people were saying in the comments that Cosmos should run a minimal trap lineup, like maybe as few traps as possible, and it really looks like the players have kind of realized that a lot faster than I did anyways. You're seeing Torrential Tribute kind of like the only only power trap, or the only trap the deck is running, and it is a legitimate power trap. I mean, it's a trap that if you catch your opponent with a good Torrential, you essentially can end their turn. Like, you clear their board, which probably means you're going to take minimal battle damage, and they don't even have anything on the field, so maybe you can catch them next turn with a Cosmo Farm Girl. We know how much that does when you search a Forerunner and you just happen to attack during the battle phase with the Forerunner as well. That's 4,300, but it can actually get even higher than that. You see that he's running some sneaky game ending cards, limiter removal here. I believe I calculated it as if you essentially land a Farm Girl attack and you have a limiter, I think you end up doing 7,100 damage if you search Forerunner and you special it, and then you use obviously this during the damage step. Now, what's really cool about this deck is how much hand trap presence there is in it. I mean, Gores at 2, like, welcome back to competitive relevance, Gores. I'm loving the fact that I'm seeing Gores, and outside of like Cosmo Town, you're really not gonna have, like, you're not guaranteed to have anything on the field except your monsters. You see triple max C to kind of stop your opponent from special summoning anything, and then the double honest kicking in because the entire archetype is light. And that's what I was saying in my Era Mages video, that it's really good when you have an archetype be streamlined, when everything in the archetype is one attribute, because then you get to throw in things like honest, you know what I mean, to just help you win games. And one thing people may have forgotten, the Gores token is actually light, so it's like you have so many cards in this deck that you can actually use honest with. Like, you can even use honest with Gores technically. You're seeing double 7-star sword, which I thought that I really am liking this. Like, I thought this card was going to be amazing in this deck because it works from hand or field, and because Forerunner is just so damn easy to get to. Not to mention, when you banish it, like, you don't really care, because if you have Cosmo Town, you just add it right back to your hand anyway. The one thing I was kind of surprised by was the triple shared ride. I mean, I'm not sure if that was just like a meta call or whatever, if they were expecting to play a lot of Necros. I mean, I guess this technically could be used in the Cosmo mirror match. Maybe your opponent attacks you with a Farm Girl, you decide to just go ahead and pop that shared ride to try and counter their +1 that they're going to get by getting your own kind of like plus or whatever. Interesting to see that the second Serena, which apparently it's not even needed in the deck. I mean, you're still obviously going to have the teleports because you want to get the Farm Girl, you want to get to Dp-Ygo, which, by the way, like, oh my god, the price of this card went from, I believe, about a month ago, it was like $2 before basically the Cosmo stuff was announced. This was like a $2 card. Now it's like, you know, 25 to like 30 bucks. You see the cheapest one is actually $23, but that's probably not including tax. I loved the Retaliating C in this side deck, because not only does it obviously search max C, but then if you play against Burning Abyss, which is still going to be a really good deck under ARG format and under Konami format, like, Flying C is just really good. So, I mean, this card searches a lot, and Burning Abyss, obviously, they struggle with Flying C and max C. So, you know, definitely, I feel like Retaliating C is one of those cards where probably gonna want to pick some of those up. We see double roll decree because this deck doesn't really run any traps, so I mean, why not just be able to flip it over against your back row heavy decks like Cleaforts and, so Teller Knights, and just be like, we win. The Ally of Justice Cycle Readers. See, I wasn't sure if those were for Teller Knights or if that was going to be for, like, I couldn't imagine it being good in a mirror match because Cosmos really don't rely on their graveyard that much. I mean, they rely on their banish zone, and it's really difficult to disrupt anything from the banish zone. So I'm thinking that this was probably side deck tech for a deck like Teller Knights, where they're going to play Call to Haunted or an Oasis or an Altier, and you can disrupt all of those plays, let alone a Soul Charge or something like that. So what do you guys think of this? I mean, I know that the ARG format is a little different, and again, this was only an ARG Metro series. These events are traditionally smaller than regionals. If I get the exact attendance, I will post that, but Jeff Jones doesn't generally play bad decks. I mean, he plays some interesting decks, some decks that people won't see coming, like his Psychic deck or his Fire Fist deck at the beginning of the format, right after Fire Fist Spirit went to 3. But I mean, I predicted that this would be a meta deck. I predicted that it would probably be top 3 by the end of the year. And again, it's only going to get more support in Dimension of Chaos, we would assume. I mean, Konami's not going to give an archetype 5 cards and just be like, all right, we're done. I mean, this archetype is going to get multiple sets of continuous support. So I think that this is only a sign of things to come. Whenever we get our next YCS, which I believe is YCS Indy, I really believe that Cosmos will top that event because I think the deck is very strong. I think you make so much advantage off of one Firm Girl attack, and if people are going to throw in limiters, then this deck turns into a deck that can just kill you at any given time. Your opponent has a Farm Girl and a limiter, and it's like, oh, they got an attack through 7100 damage. If you played Solemn Warning or anything like that early in the game, you lose. You know what I mean? Unless you're running like a Gores or something like that. So just wanted to kind of showcase this deck, talk about it for a minute, and see what you guys' opinions are. Do you think that Cosmos are going to be a good deck? Are you convinced? Were you one of those players who were very, skeptical for whatever reason? You just didn't think that the deck was going to be that good. I also think that this is going to, I think the secondary market is going to explode. I think that Farm Girl is one of these cards. I think it's going to end up being like an $80 card because it's not going to get reprinted anytime soon, and it's mandatory to have 3 copies in the deck. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribing makes life happy.